Welcome to This Week Health. My name is Bill Russell. I'm a former CIO for a 16 hospital system and creator of This Week Health, where we are dedicated to transforming healthcare one connection at a time. Now, on to our interview.
All right, here we are at Vive 2025 here in Nashville, cold Nashville. I'm here with Dr. Shiv Rao, the CEO and founder of Abridge, and congratulations.
Thanks, Bill. It's such a privilege to have this time with you too. Thank you for making it.
Well, I'm looking forward to the conversation. I'm looking down here at your press release. There's a lot of really good stuff in here.
Thank you.
I mean, 100 plus enterprise deployments, and just that's significant. I mean, that's AI adoption across healthcare. People are asking me all the time, where is it being adopted? And it's being adopted here. And I'm wondering, what are the key factors that's enabling? Because it's not just the large health systems. You're doing it rural, specialty. I mean, you're doing it across the board. What's making that possible?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's all thanks to the team. I remember in cardiology training years and years ago, there was a cardiothoracic surgeon who told me that pressure makes diamonds. I feel like these 100 plus health systems have put so much amazing pressure on us and it helped us grow into the machine that we are now. In terms of that machine, it looks like implementations. It looks like being able to integrate very deeply. It looks like partner success and customer success, but it also looks like the core product. And in terms of our core product, I think one of the key epiphanies for us these last couple of years, or few years, I should say, is that we have to be not only useful for the end user, for the clinician, but we have to be useful for all the different clinicians across all the different specialties and all the different settings in all the different spoken languages. And that's what it means to be enterprise grade. So the CMIO needs to see in us a platform. The CIO needs to see in us a technology that's going to be around for the decades to come and that can integrate with their stack. And the CFO needs to understand that there's going to be a real financial bottom line ROI associated with this technology.
It's pretty amazing when you talk about making diamonds. I mean, you're an entrepreneur, physician, CEO. When you put that first platform out there, they just start banging away at it, don't they? And they just keep giving you feedback.
Totally.
I mean, what does that process look like? When you partner with a client, what does that back and forth look like for that?
Yeah. Well, feedback is oxygen. That's a refrain inside the company. Every time we get a piece of feedback, it's not lost. It's hitting probably like a dedicated team who's now going to call an escalation that day to figure out like, how can we actually solve this end user's need? So we take incredible pride in being able to iterate and improve all the time. Greatest bits of feedback that we got from a health system was the CMIO at the University of Kansas Health System a few years saying that Abridge on Monday was great. And it was even better on Tuesday, even better on Wednesday, and better on Thursday, and better on Friday. And I think feedback is what powers that. And it can look like qualitative feedback, and sometimes it's quantitative too, but we're always iterating.
I'm going to look down here because one of the things about ambient listening is people are like, oh, that's becoming a commodity. And I think anybody with in their garage could probably figure out how to listen to a conversation and turn it into a note. You guys are taking it to the next level, which I love. You're integrating it into the complete workflow, into the complete, not only the physician workflow all the way through. And the reason I'm looking down my notes, it's contextual reasoning engine. So, healthcare systems, they struggle with documentation. They can change documentation 2 months, even after the visit, to get it right. Talk to me about the contextual reasoning engine and how that changes the game.
Yeah. I think that the folks who might be underestimating the opportunity here are the folks who might not understand that in this country, we're not compensated for the care that we deliver. We're compensated for the care that we document that we deliver. These are really, really high stakes artifacts that we're generating using AI. They need to not only be clinically useful, they need to recognize all the medical terminology across all the different specialties. They need to stylistically resonate with that end user in terms of how we handled the patient story, but also the provider's next steps, the care plan. But they need to be structured in a way, and it needs to include or sort of incorporate content that comes not only from retrospective clinical data, but oftentimes from the revenue cycle teams, like sort of experts. So as an example, I'm a cardiologist. I saw a patient recently and they had a pacemaker for a condition called sick sinus syndrome. Now, I just assumed that sick sinus syndrome, given that it's been treated with a pacemaker, that's no longer an active problem because in the oncology space, if you've had chemo and you've gone into remission, that cancer is no longer an active problem from a coding and billing and revenue cycle perspective. I was wrong. And Abridge was able to sort of understand that that's an active problem. It should be pulled out. And we should be summarizing all the what they call MEP criteria when we discuss monitoring, evaluating, assessing, or treating in relation to sick sinus syndrome. And that, in and of itself, can make a huge difference in relation to not just the rev cycle department's operations because there's less work that they need to do. And now they're going to get more complete credit for the care that was delivered. But selfishly speaking, as an end user, as a doctor, I don't have now, like 3 weeks or 4 weeks later, I don't have an Epic inbox message or an EMR inbox message asking me to sort of addend that document or telling me that I need to do a better job in the future. So no doctor wants to memorize these tens of thousands of rules, if you will, across all the different payers and all the different geos for fee-for-service and value-based care.
It's almost impossible.
It's impossible, but our technology can do it.
It's really interesting. I hesitate to take you down this path, but for a CIO, former CIO, the thing I like about this is I can build out the ROI model. I understand the value, significant importance to doing that, but to be able to sit in front of especially this financial side, to be able to build out that case and go, look, this isn't just, we are going to build a better environment for our clinicians. They're going to like practicing here because it's just a better experience. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. But to be able to build out that financial model is helpful to me as somebody who's trying to bring the technology in.
I was on the airplane coming in here and I was reading a Charlie Munger book of quotes. And his a great one that just has been like echoing in my head. Take an idea and then take it very, very seriously. And I think that you could take this idea of clinical documentation and not take it seriously and sort of stay superficial. But then, from that CIO's perspective or the CFO's perspective, you could be losing money because you're using a solution that didn't go very, very deep to incorporate all of that contextual information from the payer, from the provider, from the compliance standpoint to create the more billable document. It should be table stakes, at least in the enterprise healthcare end of the workday.
I want to close this out by giving people an idea of the heartbeat of your company. And every time I've had somebody from Abridge at one of our events, they tell a love story. I'd love for you to tell a love story because it's really powerful to hear people's interaction with your technology. It's powerful and almost life-changing in some cases.
Totally. It is the heartbeat of our company. There's no question about it. Every day we'll get feedback from users and sometimes it's constructive. And I told you about those SWAT teams who are trying to figure out things in record time. But oftentimes there's also positive feedback that gets funneled programmatically into a channel in our compliant message board that we call love stories. Everyone has different sort of favorites here, but I just pulled up one that I don't necessarily
it's
read a
incredible
lot.
because this could scroll on for it's like, oh my goodness.
It's forever. Every day we get I don't know how many, and every day we might get tens of thousands of bits of feedback from users too. So it's a huge undertaking to even be able to take that feedback and do something with it. And so much of our work is behind the scenes. You can't see, like all the improvements that we're making.
Right.
Hopefully you can feel it and hopefully you can measure it. And that's where I think we've been so successful with head-to-heads. But here's a bit of feedback. And it's almost like a story, a little short story. This comes from a doctor. I don't know what specialty though. He writes, "Do you remember the first time you rode a bike?" "I do. The feeling it gave me was freedom. Climb on my bike and I could get anywhere in a couple minutes, anywhere I wanted to go. As soon as I had a bike, the world was my oyster. I had the same feeling when I commenced with Abridge. I could let everything go and just fly. I could soar through a visit, reacting and interacting and not continually trying to remember every detail and put them into little boxes. I could just let the visit flow. I used to spend all my time checking off little boxes. I don't have time to do that anymore. I'm just having a conversation with the patient and it's wonderful."
It's amazing. That must be really satisfying.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Shiv, thank you.
Thank you so much, Bill.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. It's a privilege. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this Interview in Action episode. If you found value in this, share it with a peer. It's a great chance to discuss and in some cases, start a mentoring relationship. One way you can support the show is to subscribe and leave us a rating. If you could do that, that would be great. Thanks for listening. That's all for now.